how do we leverage this tsunami? So we're going to get into creative deal case studies. Walking around all weekend, who here feels confident that they know how the creative deals work? Very few. So you guys want to go through kind of the X's and O's and go through some case studies so you understand it? All right, cool. And then we're running up against lunch, so I'm going to go fast. So the whole point of creative deals, like, Brad, can everybody with their cash machines get to their equity mill with just with their active income? The most people, right?
Yeah, most people can.
Okay,
no problem.
If you want to play some more different games, if you want to play a little more creative games, if you want to move faster, if that pile of cash your cash machine has got for you, if you want to extend it out farther, that's why you'd be interested in these creative deals. That's why you'd want to do the creative deals. And the other thing about these creative deals is they're instant equity for your cash mill. I'll go real quick.
That's an awesome point, by the way.
What's that?
The instant equity, right? You don't have to wait the 10 years. It's there, and it's like advancing time.
It's like kaboom. So the Burr method. I'm just going to run through how you guys get the infinite return, how you guys get the instant equity for your mill. So we're going to take a house that's a $200,000 house. How much, Peter? If for $200,000 house, how much will the bank finance? 160.
Sorry,
Peter, always pay attention when I'm on stage.
$160,000.
Thank you, Peter. All right. So the bank's gonna finance $160,000 for a $200,000 house, right? Let's say on this house you assume a $30K rehab. So what you're gonna need, what do you need your purchase price need to be for an infinite return? $200,000 house, bank will do $160,000, it's a $30K rehab. What's your purchase price need to be? Thank you, $130,000. Boom. So you buy with cash for $130,000, you pay for the rehab of $30,000, you're all in for $160,000, you get the tenant in, order the appraisal. Ideally, $160,000 gets the investor, whether you're the investor, use your own cash or use a private money lender. The $160,000, if it came from you, you give it back to yourself. If the $160,000 came from your private money lender, you give it back to them. Make sense? Doesn't happen all the time, but it happens a lot where you get all your cash back, thus an infinite return. How do I make that video work, Josh? It's embedded. Are
you sure it's embedded?
Yeah, click on it. So here's one Leah did a couple years ago. People were asking on the hike today, they're like, hey, do your kids know what you do? Like, my kids don't exactly know what we do, but they love going to stinky houses. So I got a video that I think you guys will enjoy. This is my fault, by the way. Here we go. I'm not touching it. Can you get the volume? So we had just gone to jiu-jitsu, and Bubba's didn't have any drops.
Yeah, it's so gross.
Oh my God.
It's like bark. Yeah.
You guys like looking at stinky houses with Daddy?
Yes. This house is like diarrhea.
What? What did you say, Tommy?
It's diarrhea.
This house is like what?
Diarrhea.
All right, what's up, guys? It's springtime. It's time to start looking at some houses with or without COVID. I'm in this one, it's not that bad. It's just it needs a new roof, but let you get out of there. That is, you don't know what's, obviously it was a hoarder house, and these silly boys, they love rooting through other people's stuff. But yeah, we haven't done an in-house video in a while. So, for you guys who haven't done a lot of rehabs, like, obviously this needs a new roof. That is the sun right there. We'll throw a new roof on here, new soffits, clean this stuff up, new bathroom, new vanity, new toilet. The floors are actually pretty good here. Poly floors are good underneath here. New countertops. The floor could probably clean up.
Yeah, they can definitely clean up.
You think the floors will clean up?
Oh, yeah.
Or you think we need to replace the floors?
Oh, yeah, look at the garage.
Is the garage? What about the garage?
Oh, it's so awful. Look. It's junk.
It's junk?
Yeah.
Yeah, new appliances for sure.
It's junk.
There's something going on in the basement too, don't you think?
Yeah, there's caramel spiders in there.
There's caramel spiders? Obviously some mold or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It doesn't smell that bad though.
Oh, it smells awful.
It smells awful. The sump pump doesn't work anymore. We got to fix the sump pump, right? Yeah, we'll get the sump pump fixed. New panel. All right. We'll see you guys later. Thanks, Josh. So that's the kind of state you'll buy these houses in. Did you buy that in 2020, Leah? 2021. Yeah. So here's the after pictures. We did keep the floor, new countertops, new cabinets. We fixed the hole on the roof. I'm sure you appreciate that, right, Leah? So it's a functioning roof now. Replaced, redid that entire bathroom. Then that's the bedroom you saw me walking in. So here's the numbers for the case study. So purchase price of 88. At the time, the ARV was 110. I believe you got all your money out of this one, Leah, or close to? Okay. And then here's what's really interesting about your guys' equity mill. So Leah rolled into about 20 grand of equity when the house was worth 110. Now that house is worth 150. So 50 grand to throw into her equity mill, and then a couple rent increases. Rent started at 1130, it's now 1245. See what I mean? Like the first 30 months, who cares? First 3 years, who cares? Like, anybody want a deal like this one? Yeah, I mean, this stuff works. The advantages, instant equity, you got less cash in the deal. Now, my man Harold loves these deals. But a tired landlord deal is another way you can get these creative deals. We'll do the quick math. So generally this is how I sell turnkeys. I take the Zillow rent comp, I add 100 to it, and then I times that by 110. And generally the house appraises out for that amount, and that's what I sell it to you guys for. What's the critical mistake most landlords make? They don't raise the rent, poor management, and they get tired. They don't have cash flow tactics, so they quit. They knock themselves out of the game. Brad keeps mentioning all these people quitting and getting knocked out of the game. You guys are buying these people's houses all the time. And then, so rent's generally below market. So here's how we work the tired landlord offering price. So, and I'll send out all these slides so you guys don't have to get all the pictures. So once again, it's just like a turnkey price. Actual rent times 110. If a house is under rented and you take the under rented amount and multiply it by 110, are you gonna get to the full ARV? No. That's the whole way these tired landlord deals work. And then you might be saying, well, it's not fully rehabbed. What about all the lipstick you got to put on that pig? Okay, no problem. Generally, we won't do tired landlord deals unless we're anticipating under a $10,000 make ready. And generally, we just say, hey, it's going to be 7, 8. We look at the pictures and figure that out. So, forced equity question. Is your offer 80% of the appraised value? Don't answer that now. But if your offer price is 80% of the bank's appraised value, then yes, you will get the instant equity, you will get the infinite return. Here's one we just sold to Ryan Gardner. Ryan Gardner and Harold Powell are my favorite. These guys love tired landlord deals. So my team thought the appraised value, our comps it was 155. This is a sweet one, $1,200 from Section 8. And the Zillow rent listed it at $1,400. So step one, the turnkey value of the house, $1,400. We thought the Zillow rent comp plus 100 was $1,400. So what is that? Like 165? What is that times 110? It's like 155, 165. Oh, I put it right here. 1,400 plus 100 times 110. So we thought the house easily could appraise for 165. What is the appraised value? You know, depending on how good or bad the appraiser's day is going, you know, you got some wiggle room of 10 to 15%. So we knew we were in the ballpark. And then we needed to say, hey, is the make ready less than 10K? Can you click on that link, please, Josh? We'll spin through these. These are the actual acquisitionist pictures. You guys, we'll spin through these as a group, and you guys tell me if you think it's worth, the make ready will be more or less than 110. All the mechanicals are solid, because this was rehab. Like the house is definitely lived in, but it's definitely not, it's definitely being well taken care of by the tenant. So, you know, you probably need new cabinets for a full turnkey next time, but the floors are solid. Maybe new cabinets. Yeah, probably. The appliances look good. Keep going. You can't really see all the mechanicals. Definitely that kid needs to clean up his room. But the water heater was good, everything was good, so who here thinks that make-ready is over 10 grand? Right, it's a very, very nice house. We can go back to the slides, Josh, thank you. With an appraised value of 65, what will the bank lend on it? I already got the math in there. The bank will lend 132. What is your tired landlord offer price? Well, 1,200 times 110 is 122. What did that say on the last slide? 132. Uh-oh, Harold, this is when you start getting excited, right? When you see that spread of between 132 and 122. Because we go to the tired landlord, hey, sir, things trade right now at 110 times rent to investors, and the tired landlord generally takes that. So is the offer price 80% or less of the appraised value? Well, the bank's going to lend 122. You're going to offer 122. You will refi out 122. Boom. Instant equity, infinite return. This thing, we misjudged it. We were 10K light. So Ryan got it appraised out at 165, and it's already got a $50 increase for Section 8. That's part of the reason he loves these deals. He's done, in the last year, I think he's done 5. I think he's got less than 30 grand of his own cash into his own portfolio right now. And he does mostly Section 8, so he gets very consistent rents. So that's how the tired landlord creative deals work out.
Jim, if you're using a private lender, explain how that works through that.
So if this one? Yeah. So Ryan just asked, what if I was using a private lender? So I would go to, hey, Mr. Private Lender, I got this deal. I think I'm getting it under value. I think I can get it for 122, and I believe it'll appraise out for 155 to 165. So I think, Peter, these tired landlord deals, how fast are we turning these?
Yeah, 60 days.
So I need your money for 60 days. Because we used to wait a while and let it season, but Peter's done some really ingenious stuff to let people, the day they close, they start the refi process. So 60 days on that.
Rehab it or anything prior to?
We don't touch it. Like we'd tell you, hey, this pig's gonna need some lipstick. But, so it's not full turnkey.
Because it's already occupied, yeah.
If the tenant moves out.
You want to be aware you're going to have probably a little bit if you're make ready the first time around, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna have a bigger, but if you're in at zero,
If you're in at zero, but you have a $10,000 make ready versus a $4,000 make ready, $3,000 make ready, you're still in it less than you would be if you're buying it.
Yeah. And that's the Section 8 tenants don't leave. And then Rhonda right now, big hand of applause for Rhonda, but she's averaging, not yet, I didn't even say what she did well. But her average Section 8 rent increase per month is $140. That's like, when you have a professional like Rhonda, taking deals from tired landlords, like there's a big difference. So now we can give her a big round of applause.
I'd also like to know where Peter gets these $3,000 make readies.
What's that?
So I'd like to know where Peter has $3,000 make readies.
That's a good point.
So walk through real quick with whether it's Section 8 or an already existing tenant on a non-Section 8, and you go in and buy it, right? They're under contract, so do you have to inherit the contract that?
Yes, you do. And so the question is, what happens to the current lease? We're law-abiding citizens at St. Louis Leasing Co., so we honor the lease. A lot of times, these tenants are month to month, so we come in with an instant rent raise and say, hey, you're month to month, so we need to get a year-long lease for the new investor to buy the house. Yeah, usually the tired landlord hasn't renewed the lease in 3 years. And so the tenant knows they've been getting over, the tenant expects it. Any other questions on tired landlord deals? All right, we keep moving on. So we just talked about how high interest rates are awesome, but where can we find some lower interest rates? Subject to, notes that have already been created. Who here kind of understands subject to? Who here is like, what is subject to? Okay, so what subject to really means is you're just taking over somebody's mortgage. I'm gonna kind of go through the X's and O's of it real quick. So notes that have already been created, so subject to deals. So who is generally the subject of subject to bill? It's somebody with low equity in the house, and then they owe more than a cash buyer is gonna pay for the house. So we'll come in with a cash buyer of 100, they owe 120, like they're stuck, they're in gridlock. So generally they're like, we'll be like, oh, well, we could take over the paper for you and probably put some money in your pocket. And so we'll give them like 5 to 10 grand, they'll give us the paper, and then they move on, and they're happy to do it. So here's how subject to deal works. Every real estate transaction, you got a house, you got a title, you got a deed of trust, and you have a note. Everybody cool with that, right? So you got a house, everybody knows what those are. You got a title deed. Title deed is the document that says, hey, this is the person who actually owns the house. Now you have a deed of trust. A deed of trust says, hey, there is someone with an interest on this house who has a mortgage on this house. And it's just another document giving the lender his rights, his privileges to the asset until you pay him off. That document goes away when the note is paid off. Does that make sense? And the note is then just the actual document of, hey, I owe you money. So here's the advantages of subject to for the seller. Seller gets to walk away from the property without a foreclosure or hit to their credit or having to come to cash with any closing. So if they owe 120 and I'll pay 100 cash, they have to come to closing with 20 grand of their own cash to get out of the deal. This is why they love someone taking over their mortgage for them. The buyer, you get to leverage somebody else's credit. So you get another golden ticket. Most people think they can only get 10 or 20 golden tickets. With subject twos, you can get an infinite amount of golden tickets. So you can play an infinite game with those. The disadvantages, the seller does not gain from the appreciation of the property while the house is still on their credit. When you do a subject to, you get all the appreciation and you get all the principal pay down, even though it's still in the seller's name. The buyer has to come up with cash generally to do the repairs and rehab. That's one of the disadvantages for the buyer. Brian Waters is buying this on Tuesday. But this is a subject to deal in Florissant. It's like the nicest part of cash flow heaven, A-class asset. We call these a grandma special. Like, we're gonna need to throw a new kitchen in there, clean up the basement, definitely update the bathrooms, but these sellers took great care of the house. They just want it out of the house. So not gonna be a big deal. This is an actual picture of their loan. So it's a 5.1% interest rate. There's 119 left on the loan, and the house is worth 190K all day, and this is like our best appreciating market. So if you look at just the pro forma, it's an okay turnkey deal. The only thing that's good about it is that 5.13 that you guys see highlighted at the bottom. So the advantage of this deal, it's a 5.1% interest rate. If you're gonna buy a $190,000 house, you're gonna have to have around a $50,000 payment anyway. So Brian's extending his golden tickets to get an A-class asset. He was gonna have to put 50 grand in the deal anyway. But the advantage of these, how many times have you asked on Circle, hey, I got a guy willing to lend me 50 grand, what do I do with it, right? So this is for those of you raising private money. These are deals with smaller amount lenders that you can do deals with them. So there's gonna be 50K cash required to do this deal. 25K goes the assignment fee to us as wholesalers, and then there'll be a 25K rehab. So the advantages, you got another golden ticket at a lower interest rate, and you can deploy private money. So that's the advantages of this deal. And you're walking into 20K worth of equity. Does it make sense, the advantages, disadvantages of these? Yes, ma'am.
Are the sellers okay with someone using their credit? Are people not afraid or not worried that what happens if someone stops paying, or how will it affect their credit?
I mean, we are upfront. We say, hey, we are gonna sell this contract to a reputable buyer. We will back the buyer. Like, we will cover the mortgage for the seller, not for the buyer. It'll be a different conversation with the buyer if they welch.
But it's also a risk they're willing to take because they're gonna get foreclosed anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they're not in a worse spot.
And it can be paid through escrow to protect both sides too.
So I'm gonna keep the name, Flip Key.
I love it.
Do you like the emoji? So here would be the advantage of a flip key. James Huss, he's in Rise Up. He's doing this deal right now. 4280 Colvin, some old vet. We get calls from vets all the time because of our marketing. This old crusty bastard, like, He's like, you young sons of bitches. Like, this guy was awesome to sell a house to. But like, these old vets, they take immaculate care of the house. Like, everything we're doing in this house is purely cosmetic. This house is built like a tank. Obviously, the guy loved green in his bathroom. He didn't care about that. But that's an easy fix. But from a lot of these senior downsizing, we're getting a ton of deals like this. So here's back in the day, back in the day we wouldn't touch this, but look at the ARV. It's 235. We can't really make a good cash flowing rental out of a house over 200 grand, right? So then what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do when we got a house over 200 grand? We got to retail flip it. So the purchase price for the investor was 166K. The rehab's going to be about 25K. This house is easily going to be sold for 235. This is one of the hottest areas in St. Louis. So that Rise Up member, he's going to make, I bet he makes 25K on this one. So it's just a Burr key strategy in a neighborhood that we can't burr. Does that make sense why we're doing it? So